Hi everybody and welcome back to another Legends of Runeterra video and gameplay. Today I have a deck called Bear Hug. This is a Braum Sejuani deck. I'm pretty sure that Braum would give you a bear hug if you asked him for it. Yeah, you'd probably be smothered by him. But the reason this is called Bear Hug as well is that we are running Ursine Spiritwalker as well as Fury of the North. Ursine Spiritwalker, it's a really interesting card. It has a super cool ability, but it hardly gets any use. And the reason for that is that it is kind of niche. You do need to build a deck around it specifically, and cards like Kato the Arm kind of do his job just a little bit better, and there's no condition for playing Kato. Because this is a plunder ability, you do need to have ways to plunder, and it is somewhat easy, especially in this meta, with control decks like Ezreal and Twisted Fate, and Ionia is always a problem, but it's pretty easy to stop the plunder abilities from going off and from hitting the enemy nexus, unless you specifically build around plunder abilities. And inherently, really, the Freljord and Noxus don't have a ton of cards compared to other regions that can proc that, like Bilgewater, for example, and they have to rely heavily on Overwhelm, and it's easy to control that. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. So in this deck, what we have is our main early game plunder enabler is the Crimson Disciple. Now, she was nerfed, and you can definitely feel it when you play her in game. She only deals 1 damage to the enemy nexus now when she survives damage. But either way, you are still leveling up Sejuani with this ability, and you are still enabling plunder, which is super nice. Along with that, we are running 3 Transfusion. For the very same reason, you can do burst speed damage to the enemy nexus with Transfusion, making it really easy to enable plunder for the Ursine Spiritwalker. So in general, it's not the best way to level up Sejuani, but we can get it done with these cards. Now, Braum also will produce Overwhelm units in the Mighty Poro, which comes in handy, and we are running kind of bulky units early on. The Avaros Entraptor, 3/3 stat line, but he also produces the Enraged Yeti, and Scarthane Stefan, which works really well in this deck as well, because if he survives damage, and we are running all of these spells to help him survive damage, he's going to get 3+ attack every time. And then once the Spiritwalker gets down, Scarthane Stefan is going to get Overwhelmed. He only needs to survive 1 hit in order for that to happen. Super easy to get that to happen, and to have him with an Overwhelm ability as well. The Trifarian Assessor is our main card draw option for this deck. Works really well with these Scarthane Stefan and these Scar Reaver units, as I like to call them, as well as the Avaros Entrapper and the Enraged Yeti. The Starlit Seer is also here to help buff up our units to get them over that 5 power threshold. Like Trifarian Assessor, who has 4 attack damage already. She only needs 1 more. It's pretty easy to get her that one extra attack damage. And then, of course, we've got all of our late game units who have more than 5 attack power, which is going to trigger the Overwhelm ability. And then also grant us more card draw with the Trifarian Assessor. So that's about it for this game. This deck. We are trying to finish up the enemy after playing the Tuskraider. That's basically the whole gist of this, and using our Overwhelm units once Sejuani is leveled up to frostbite all the enemies and deal even more damage. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks. Alright, so we're going against the Lee Sin Shin deck here. This should be kind of interesting. The two seem like they might work together okay, but in reality they kind of don't. Shin works better with champions like Fiora and Noxus decks. I've seen those going around a little bit. I really like this opening hand here. Starlit Seer, Crimson Disciple, Stefan Scarthane, and the Transfusion, all really good. Because we're running these plunder cards from Freljord, the Crimson Disciple is what you're really looking for when you mulligan, and your kind of opening hand. So really nice to see that early on here. He doesn't have a play turn 2, so we're just going to attack here and then start leveling up our Sejuani. 1 out of 5 for that, so the faster we can get Sej leveled up, the faster we can win this game. Alright, so he plays his Scales of the Dragon. Also not a very common card. I use it in my Yasuo deck with the heavy recall spells and things like that, but generally he's not that good of a card, so I don't really see any reason to play him in a deck like this. Alright, and so we've got our Starlit Seer down, and we'll kind of let him attack and see what he wants to do here. So he attacks with his Scales of the Dragon. So he attacks here with it, which makes me think that he's got a spell in hand. He's barrier heavy kind of deck here, so I'm going to block with my Starlit Seer. I didn't use any spells because I figured that he was going to have a spell. But I guess I'm okay with trading the Starlit Seer anyway. I don't get to use his ability to buff any of my units, but I think it's okay. I like having the Elixir of Iron and the Transfusion left over for my Crimson Disciple, who's going to be my primary Plunder enabler and Sejuani enabler on this deck. So, and now we're going to attack here with both of these. Now that I've got these spells in hand, like I said, Transfusion, Elixir of Iron, he shouldn't be able to kill me. We're going to Transfusion our Crimson Disciple, injuring Stefan Scarthane. That's buffing him up so that he's going to hit the Nexus harder. We get 5 damage and an additional 1 with the Crimson Disciple. You definitely feel the nerf to the Crimson Disciple since they took away 2 damage from her ability, or it's now 1 damage, but you can definitely feel the difference, especially in these Braum decks that focus a lot on self-harm and Swain. It's a definite nerf to that archetype. Kind of unfortunate because there isn't really a lot of use anyway in that archetype. The only reason why it was nerfed was because it was overpowered in aggro decks. So it kind of sucks for people who like playing the self-harm and Swain decks. Alright, so we're going to block like this. I'm not going to commit any mana yet because he probably has mana to save his Shin. Otherwise he wouldn't attack with it. So we're going to see what he does here. He's taking a little while to determine what he wants to do. That makes me pretty positive he has some sort of spell here, and we have Elixir of Iron as really our only option, so we should be able to do a little bit with it depending on what he does. Alright, so he uses Might. That's kind of interesting. So we're going to hope that he doesn't have another card here, and we're going to Elixir of Iron our Braum here. This is going to enable the Mighty Poro coming out as well. And we're going to kill Shin with our Crimson Disciple. So we get rid of Shin here, and we produce a Mighty Poro. This is looking like a pretty good open attack for next round. Probably a guaranteed 8 damage onto the Nexus. I don't have any spells to protect Braum this time though, but I think I'm okay with him dying if I don't. If he does have a spell to get rid of Braum, but we're going to do quite a bit of damage here. So he has an Elixir of Wrath, so pretty sure he top decked that, otherwise he would have used it last round. Be kind of interested why he wouldn't have used it. So, and because we plundered this round, we're going to use our Ursine Spiritwalker. This round before we play Sejuani, so here goes the Spiritwalker. Now Stefan Scarthane also has Overwhelm, which is super nice. All my units have Overwhelm here, which is going to help us get our Sejuani leveled up. And we've got 2 Crimson Disciple in hand. That's really nice as well. And we pull a pretty good top deck here with the Trifarian Assessor because we're running low on cards. He's got a lot of cards in hand, which is making me somewhat worried. His unit is producing spells as well from his deck, so that's somewhat troubling. So I kind of want to replenish my hand here. I'd like to play the Sejuani first to get an extra card draw with the Trifarian Assessor, but I think I'm just going to have to play it this round and hope to get some spells to use. More utility and card tricks to save my units. I think this is the correct play. It also allows me to have some mana left over and the ability to play other units if I need to. So I did draw a Transfusion, which is super nice. So we are going to threaten to take out the Shin here with Stefan Scarthane here because we have Transfusion. I'm pretty sure he's got a spell here to back up his Shin, and he does. He has a Rush. So we are going to Use Transfusion on Stefan Scarthane here. I should have used it with the Poro. I had no reason not to. That was kind of silly of me. I thought about it, but then just didn't do it. Alright, and then he's got Concussive Palm, so that works out okay. We block the Shin from attacking, he doesn't get value out of one of the spells that he used, and now we can kind of fill out our board here. I'm not really worried about banking some of my spell mana because I have no spells in hand, so we're just going to play all of the units here that we can and spread out and represent quite a bit of damage this round. We pull a awesome top deck with Fury of the North, and we don't even get to use it. He surrenders. We probably would have been able to win that round anyway, unless he had something like Judgment, but they don't normally run Judgment in decks like that, so we were pretty safe. Overall, it was an okay gameplay. You got to see the Ursine Spiritwalker and things like that, so it worked out okay. Ended up getting the win.